Sony, I can't. I just can't. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy, Iceman and Bob. So what am I referring to when I say Sony, I can't? If you take a look behind me, you can see the Sony A95K, all right? This is what I'm referring to. Now, I know some people are like, wait, what? What do you mean, you can't? And it's a great TV and this and that and et cetera, et cetera. Yes, it absolutely is a great TV. So let me get this right out the bat, right up front. I'm not saying that the Sony A95K is not a great TV. It's an amazing TV at that, okay? I'm not saying that. So let's go ahead and get this clear. Let's go ahead and get that out. Let's go ahead and get this established, okay? I'm aware of the pros as well as the cons as it relates to this TV. Yes, this TV does have cons. One big con that I'm shaking my head with is the price. Now, let me explain something. If you are the type of consumer, and this all depends on your use case. So again, I have to stress, use cases will vary. Okay, some of you have different use cases. Some of you have other use cases. Some of you have unlimited supplies of income. Other users or other consumers have planned on making these type of purchases. Okay, there's some different scenarios, but what I'm referring to here is the majority. Okay, 90 to 95+% of consumers, as well as us TV enthusiasts, okay, or audio and video enthusiasts, or some people say audio and visual. Either way, y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? For most people, I just cannot recommend the Sony A95K at its current prices. Now, say maybe this time next year in 2023, the prices are different. Let's say the prices, especially for the 65-inch, drop down to, I don't know, like maybe 2,500 or something like that. Okay, that might be a different conversation. Totally. But as it currently stands, I just can't for most of you. All right, let's take a look at something here before I continue. So one thing I want to show you all is this is the current price right here of the A95K. It's $4,000. And yes, I was aware during here in the United States, we had the Labor Day sales and it was $500 off. So it was $34.99, as well as we're going to have Black Friday coming up. I've heard some people say it's going to go down to $3,000. I highly doubt that. I cannot see Sony doing that. The A90J is still at $2,800 or $2,800. I cannot see them discounting the A95K more than the actual A90J for last year. It just does not make any sense in pricing logic. And I know people are like, oh, I'm excited to get the TV, and I get it. Before most consumers, they're going to bypass this TV. If they walk in the store and they see this Sony at this price at $4,000, they're going to bypass it. Okay, let's take a look at some other models here. Okay, just right off the bat, like what I was saying, you have the 65-inch A90J here. That's $2,800, like I was saying. And even at full price, at $3,000, it's still $1,000 cheaper. And I'm going to be honest with a lot of people. If you calibrate this TV, and I'm a high advocate of calibrations, okay? I'm not talking about applying some settings. That's not calibration. That's applying settings. That's tweaking. That's making adjustments. When I refer to calibration, I'm literally talking about hooking up equipment, okay? The proper equipment to literally calibrate your TV or your monitor or your phone or whatever device you have, okay? Your projector. And I have all of these as well. Matter of fact, like I said, I've got two phones, okay? I've got the Samsung Z Fold phone, and then I have here, I've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I will be upgrading to the 14 Pro Max as well as the Z Fold 4. It's just not a priority right now, and I might do it more so around the holiday time. In any case, different conversation. But just at these prices, I cannot just I mean, even at the 55 inch, look at this, it's $3 grand. And keep in mind, for those of you that wanted the 55 inch Sony A95K, it never was on sale during Labor Day. And I highly doubt it's going to go on sale during Black Friday and the holidays. Okay. And again, when you come here and look at the A90J, you see it's $1,000 cheaper. It's $2 grand versus $3 grand for the same 55 inch. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, a lot of you may not like to hear this, but once you calibrate the A95K, as well as if you calibrate the A90J, you're gonna see that they're very similar. And I'll talk about this, and a lot of actual calibrators have talked about this. Now, I'm not ISF certified, I'm not a certified calibrator, so I can't actually speak from that perspective, but I am a calibrator, just not certified. I know what I'm doing. I took the time to learn, to study, to understand, get the equipment, et cetera, et cetera. And once you calibrate these sets, I'm telling you, the image, if you want the Sony image, you're just going to get it, and you're going to get very close out of the A90J for the average consumer. Okay. Now, I'm not blind or oblivious to obvious pros and cons with the quantum dot OLED technology. As I have mentioned, as I have shown, I have the Samsung S95B. So I'm highly aware of that, and I've taken a look at it. But for the money, y'all, I just can't. Check this out. This is a 77 inch Sony A80K for $3 grand. And even at its full price, it's at $3,800, which is still $200 full price cheaper than the A95K. And this is a 77 inch. It's a hard recommend. I just can't do it for a 65 inch at that price. If you're going to spend $4,000, I highly recommend you getting a bigger screen if you have the real estate space to fit it. Okay. I mean, just look at this. And then if you get a 65 inch A80K, again, $2,000. You're saving $2 grand over the A95K. Now, yes, the A95K will have a better image, but it's not going to literally just blow the socks off of the A80K. This is an excellent TV, y'all, especially if you get it calibrated, and with the money you have left over, you can afford to pay someone, perhaps get into it yourself, what have you. That's another conversation. But the point is, you can really get very close. No, it's not going to be the same, but you can still get the Sony look if that's what you want. If you just have to have Sony, okay, and this is brand new, everything, you just don't get the quantum dot technology. All right. It's just a hard pass for me, y'all. It's a very hard pass. I mean, just again, take a look at what you can get. 77 inch A80K for $3 grand. You can get the last year's King of TVs. Okay, 2,800 for the A90J, 65 inch. Okay, look at this. This is 55 inches for $3 grand. Okay, and the other models for 65 and bigger are already cheaper. Okay. It's just such a hard pass. Such a hard pass, y'all. I just can't. Okay, I can't. All right, and now I just talked about Sony. So let's take a look at some of the other brands that you could possibly get here. Okay, like I said, this was just Sony. All right, let's take a look at what you could get out of LG. Okay, so we're going to take a look here. All right, and see what we can get. Now, I'm starting with the C2. Of course, you can go with the G2, but I'm starting with the C2 here. Okay, so take a look at this. $1,900, 65 inch C2. Okay, it was $2,500 when I had the C2. That's what I paid for. Okay, you can get this for $1,900. The C2 will get you so close, it's insane. Check this out. This is a 77 inch C2 for $3 grand. It's still $1,000 cheaper and a bigger size TV than the 65 inch Sony A95K. All right, now let's take a look at the G2. Here we go. Look at this, $2,500 for a 65 inch G2. Okay, we're talking about $1,500 cheaper than the same size A95K. Here we go. Check this out. You can get a 77 inch G2 But $3,800, still $200 cheaper than the 65-inch Sony A95K. And I have to remind you all, once these sets are calibrated, they are literally neck and neck. Okay, yes, there are some pros and there are some cons, obviously, but unless you have them side by side, you're really not going to notice too much. And there's so many pros. You know, people talk about build quality. Well, the LGs have the build quality. All right, I'm just saying, at these prices, I just can't recommend the A95K. I can recommend Sony all day long. I'm not talking about Sony as a brand, but I just can't recommend, I just can't do it. It makes no sense to me unless you fit these use cases. Now, if you're the type of individual that's going to buy a TV and you have no intentions of updating that TV for the next 10, at least 5 to 7+ years. Okay, but let's be honest with you. Many of you here watching are TV enthusiasts. And good and well, you're going to be wanting the A95L or whatever it be, A96 or whatever letter and number structure that Sony will do for the next iteration of the A95K. When quantum dot technology is perfected after it's been out for another year or two, and they can increase this and do this and add that and et cetera, et cetera. Most of you are going to be like, oh, the A95K is old news. That's how a lot of you feel about the A90J, or some of you that got the A80J from last year. Okay, and all these sets are excellent. Don't sleep on last year's set. Same thing with LG, the G1, the C1, they're still excellent if you can find them, but they're still excellent. And a lot of people are forgetting, we're so like trying to keep up with the Joneses and have the best of the best, but we forget that these sets are all excellent. And again, the A95K is amazing, but I just can't. It's just too, for most people, unless again, you're the type of consumer that's going to buy a TV and you don't have any plan of looking at any other TV, Sony brand and all, for the next 5 to 10 years, okay, go get the A95K. It'll be worth it in that case. Or you're the type of person, you just don't care, you got money to blow, perhaps you have other TVs already and you just wanted this model, and again, money's not an option, okay, I can recommend it in that case. But those people are far and few in between. The majority of people I see in the comment section, not just on my channel, but in other people's channels, the majority of people I talk to, I walk to, people that I know, and I'm talking about people with money, they will pass right over that and get another Sony model, okay? So speaking of another Sony model, let's take a look here at the X95K. So you see here 65 inches, $2,000. Now I know the 65-inch didn't quite get as good reviews with this model, but let's take a look at the 75-inch that's good. Look at this 75-inch X95K, and I know this is not OLED, this is mini LED, but still, look at this, $2,800 if you want to go Sony, and especially if you need a larger size. And then check this out, even if you need the 85-inch, the big boy, the big girl, it's still only like $300 more than a 65-inch A95K. And many people know that the 85-inch Sony here, the X95K, has gotten great reviews. Okay, and again, you can calibrate it, and it's just going to give you so much more for the money. Okay, I just can't. And I'm going to do last but not least. I know some people probably would have thought that I would have done this first, but I'm actually going to save this one for last, okay? And actually, I have two that I want to show you, okay? So let's take a look here, all right, at Samsung. We haven't done Samsung yet, so let's take a look at it, okay? And we're going to do that in just a second. Okay, boom. So let's take a look here at Samsung. So here we go. The 65-inch S95B is only $2,300. And it was cheaper during the Labor Day sales, and it'd be cheaper during Black Friday. But still, at $2,300, we're talking about $1,700 more. And I hear this argument, well, build quality and this and that. Let's be honest, folks. Unless you're someone that's going to be moving your TV a lot, the build quality really doesn't matter. And also, I want to add to that, the A95K is heavier than a bag of logs, okay, because of the stand. It is heavy. And I'm someone who will move a TV with the quickness solo. People think I'm crazy. Like, you lifted that up these stairs, you did this here. Yeah, I'll move it solo. I'm strong as an ox. Don't let the size fool you. And it's still heavy as all get out. And I get it, the build quality, it is solid. You know, you don't have to worry about any particular bent screen issues. But I will also add, when it comes to bent screen issues, it's overblown. I know a lot of reviewers that have had bent screens. I have not. I know a lot of reviewers that have not had bent screens. I know a lot of consumers that have had bent screens. I know a lot of consumers that have not. This TV, Samsung is the #1 TV seller. It's just facts. Whether we like it or not, whether we hate it or not, it's just facts. They sell the most TVs. So there's going to be more issues they're going to come up with Samsung. All right. But it does not mean that if you decide to buy this TV that you're going to have a bent screen. I know many that have bought two, you know, they've got one in one size and liked it so much and got another one and have not had any issues with bent screens. And again, the bent screen thing, or every issue when it comes to this S95B, has been overblown. The build quality outside of that is not horrible or not bad like people are sitting up here making it. I do get it. I have Sony TVs myself. I have LG TVs myself. I understand the differences, but it's not something that's like, gee, someone's going to come walk up in your room, in your house, and take a look at your TV like, hey, the build quality sucks. It's actually very elegant and very thin, especially from a side profile. That's something that, depending on your room and your layout, may be an issue when you talk about the Sony, especially the A95K. It's so thick. In some places, in some situations, that might not work. Okay, just depends on your layout in your room. Again, there's a lot of combinations here. That's another conversation. But nonetheless, you see the price here, the 65-inch. Okay. Look at the 55-inch. It's even cheaper, $1,800. I mean, it's just kind of hard to pass this. And then let's take a look at the big boy, the flagship, the big girl, the QN900B. Okay, in 65-inch. It's the same price, okay, as the Sony A95K. And I know this isn't OLED, but some people might not want OLED. And here we go. You know, just kind of showing, you know, 8K. I know 8K is really, the technology of 8K is another conversation, but I'm just saying options here. You have options here. If you did not want OLED, but you want a very similar type image, here we go. Okay. You also can get the QN90B. Okay. Look at that. $1,900. $1,900. Think about the money you're saving in the same size versus $4,000. Okay. We're talking about $2,100. So, and then I want to show you all one more player, one more excellent TV. I know it's not top notch, but it's still an excellent TV for what it is, and we can't take anything from it. Okay. I'm going to show you all just one more player in the game that would be a top recommendation here, and why I just can't, not with the A95K. So look, we had the Hisense, we had the U8H. 65-inch. Okay, y'all see this price? $1,400. Now, I know it's a budget TV. I know there's some shortcomings and maybe this or that, but for the price and what it does, once you spec it out, once you tweak it out, once you set it out, and mention, as I've been saying, you can calibrate all of these sets. This is going to give you a great deal. Look at how high it's rated. Okay. I know it's only 12 reviews, but just look at how high it's rated. This TV is excellent. It is the high-end, like, budget line. Okay, and yes, you might not have this, you might not have that, but look at the price. And what's even more compelling is look at the 55-inch here. $700. Y'all. It's because of that I just cannot recommend the Sony A95K outside of the baller shot caller, someone that already has 2 or 3 other TVs and they just specifically want this set and they don't plan on upgrading for the next 5 to 10 years. You know, someone maybe that fits those type of use cases. even if you have to go Sony, I showed you the other Sony models that are excellent. Even last year's models, I did include one, which is the A90J, but I try to show models that are more easily accessible in this current climate. And so it's kind of hard to get the A80J and et cetera, et cetera. The A90J is still easily accessible. So, and there's other budget Sony models as well that I just didn't even go into that you can get that are excellent. Okay. I just can't recommend the A95K for 95 plus consumers. Again, unless you are a baller shot caller, money is no thing to you, or you are the type of person that plans to not, I repeat, not upgrade in the next 5 to 10 years, then yes, maybe you'll be the person who I would recommend the A95K if you want the quantum dot technology. But outside of that, and especially as someone who is a calibrator, and I've seen the differences that calibration makes with all of these sets, or at least a good number of these sets, I'm telling you, save your money, go get one of the other sets and even get it calibrated. And even if you don't get it calibrated, you're still going to save the money. That's for most of you, again, outside of that 5%. So I just can't with the A95K until it drops price. And I'm me having a business degree, marketing degree, understanding how things work. I do not see Sony dropping the price of this TV. Again, they went down $500. Maybe for Black Friday, they might drop it to $3,200 or $3,300. Might be $3,299. I cannot see them just dropping this TV to $3,000 already. I just can't. And just like the A90J, it's still $2,800. Okay, and how long has it been out? How many sales and holidays we had? So I just don't see it. Maybe next year it might match the A90J's price. Maybe we'll move through the inventory of the A90J. This depends on what Sony's going to do. And then perhaps the A95K will fit that bill. Maybe it'd be $2,800. Perhaps then at $2,800, I may be able to recommend it then if you want to get into QD-OLED. But then we're going to see with the A95L or A96A or whatever the letter and number structure that Sony's going to do with the next model of QD-OLED. And no telling what we're going to have. Maybe Sony may tweak their processor, or we don't know what we may have or what may come out. So as of right now, I just can't recommend it outside of that use case where I said you have no issues with money. Money is not an issue. Perhaps you have 2 or 3 other TVs already and you just specifically want this model. Or you're the individual that has no plan on upgrading a TV for the next 5 to 10 years, okay? If you're watching this and you don't plan on upgrading, then I expect you to not be on the internet, on YouTube, or looking at articles or checking out new TVs to replace the one that you have got if you're getting this A95K. So outside of those use cases, I just cannot recommend it. The image is so similar. Honestly, the build quality thing is really, I get it, but really it's a bunch of bull unless you plan on moving the TV an awful lot. And I don't see 95 to 98% of people doing that. Okay, everything is just fine. You have to be cognizant and take care of these TVs if you're shipping, if you're moving, whatever you're doing. In any case, even the Sonys, okay, they're still TVs. So I get what people are saying, but it's not like people are going to be walking up, hey, check the build quality. Hey, let's bend it. Let's flex it. Let's pick it up. Let's throw it up. Like, who does that? Who does that? So really the build quality argument is another conversation. I get it. But again, for most people, I just see it a null and void argument. And also the Bravia cam is useless. Okay. The only good thing I will say it does, besides the video camera aspects, we can video conference on it, and people forget you could do that on the Samsung S95B, and you can attach any camera that you want to it, and you use the same Google Duo and video conference. The only thing is maybe the alerting, the proximity alert with kids, but I'm gonna be honest with you, me as a parent, they're going to bypass that. As a matter of fact, if they heard the TV speak, say, hey, don't get closer, back up, they're going to do the exact opposite. Especially the ones that are at the age that can do damage to a TV. I'm just saying, I know this as a parent. Any other of my parents out here can comment. I just can't recommend this TV, y'all. I've said enough. It is an amazing TV. I'm not saying it's not great. It's a great TV. And yes, it's only one of 2 options to get into the quantum dot OLED game, if you want to call that a game. currently as it stands. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's only one of two options. So I do get it again, but I just can't recommend it. And you'll be surprised. Go check out Max Chambliss II. He has a video out on his channel. I'll try to link it here, where he compared a calibrated A90J to the A95K. And you will be hard to tell the difference between the two. I'm just saying. And then you could do the same with the A80K, get it calibrated. I mean, yes, there are some pros and cons and some differences. I am aware of that. So don't go in the comment section like, hey, Iceman, this is better. Like, I know the specs, I get it. But I'm going to tell you, if you do these things, it's going to look pretty much the same. So I've spoken long enough. I just kind of wanted to talk about it. You're not going to essentially see this TV on my channel. I have seen it. I have taken a look at it, but I just can't recommend it for the price. I highly recommend some of the other Sony models that I've shown, but not at its current price. I just can't, outside of those select use cases that I mentioned. So I might acquire this TV myself later on, but then again, later on, if it's discounted, it depends on what else is out. So that's another conversation for another day. But that's my recommendation. It is an excellent TV. I'm not saying it's not good. It's definitely kicking butt and taking names. Pretty much probably the best Sony TV. But is that best that much more than what's currently out by Sony, or even other brands? I can't really honestly say that, especially when you include calibrations and things of that nature. So I'm getting out of here. We could talk about it in the comment section. I just want to get this out. I have more videos to come. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think. And on that note, I'm getting out of here. And as I always say, until we stream again.